everyone, and welcome back to Decisive Squirrel Homestead. It is March 12th, 11th, 12th, and we have still been working in the garden. The weather is still wreaking havoc on our plans. It has warmed up. We've had lots of days in the mid 80s, and then this weekend it's gotten cold again. It's going to warm up again. It's going to get cold again. The plants just love it when the weather goes back and forth like that. So things have been a little interesting. The peas right here behind me are growing, but slower than I expected, which means they're going to be done later than I expected, or else not grow big enough before it gets too hot for them. We'll see what happens with that. But everything else is getting a pretty good start. Just some things are a little slower than we expected. So let's take a look around and see what's going on. So out here in the main garden, we planted peas several weeks ago. They should really be bigger than they are now, but green peas are over there on the right-hand side. They are growing, just not great. On the left here, we have garlic, which is doing really good. That went in over the winter, and it's been growing for a while now. This next bed over here, we put in tomatoes just this week. We actually did not have time to set up our normal indoor seed starting station that we've done, and so we did this tomato seed just outside and brought the trays in whenever it was too cold, and otherwise just let them be outside in the sun. I was really surprised that they did as well as they did. We transplanted them up from seed starter pellets into 6-packs, and they've actually taken off quite well, and they look happy, and they went in the ground today. So we will be getting tomatoes going here really soon. We have 3 rows of tomatoes this year. So we have 2 on that first side, and then we have another row over here. And we have our onions that we put in probably about a month ago now. We have 1 sage plant left over from last year. It's actually blooming. It's got pretty purple flowers. And we also have onions down here on this last row that have been growing for a while, and a few carrots that were left over from the winter that survived our strange temperatures this winter and are just now starting to really grow. So we'll get a few carrots from that. Our blackberry vines over here on the edge have started to take off. We're seeing some new growth. We're seeing some new canes. This bigger blackberry bush down here has put out some blooms. I haven't seen berries yet. I'm not sure if there's actually berries, but I have seen some blooms open up. So I'm expecting we'll get some off of those. And then we have our dewberries. Dewberries just grow wild around here and will take over if you let them. So we've tried to contain this little patch of dewberries right here to a smallish area. But you can see all of these new canes sticking up. I think you can see those. The reddish, more upright canes. Those are new canes that won't make fruit this year, but will next year. And so these are really going to take off if we let them. And they grow so easily here, and they're so similar to a blackberry, we might just let this take over this whole area here. But this has bloomed a lot, and there are some berries that are starting to show up. So we should get some fruit from that, and you can use those just like blackberries. Over here on the end, I'm pretty sure this one fig tree is dead. It looks pretty dried out. It was so hot last summer and so dry that it really stressed a lot of the trees. This fig tree has 1 branch that is putting out new leaves, but unfortunately I think that might be the only one that's alive. So that is unfortunate, and we haven't decided how to move forward with that yet. We have a pecan tree down here that was new last year, and it has come back and started putting out leaves and new growth. So eventually we'll hopefully have a pecan tree. Our other newer fruit trees back here are actually doing better than our fruit trees in the front of the property, which are older or went in sooner. These are in a low spot, and I think they collected more water than the ones that are up front. But this is a peach tree that's starting to bloom out. And so hopefully we will get a peach or 2 off of this. Oh, and it's got some leaves. That's new today. I hadn't noticed the leaves before. We have apple trees and pear trees back here that have buds on the end of the branches, but they haven't quite opened up yet. So this pear tree will be growing soon, just not yet. It's getting there. Oh, there's leaves on this one too. Those are new. I hadn't seen leaves on this tree yet. We have another peach tree back here that has already just about finished blooming and is putting out its leaves, and it has some peaches on it. We need to make sure those get thinned and put some sort of protection from the birds. Oh, there's that big peach over here. So this one's doing pretty good. And then back here, this is another pear tree that's just starting to put some leaves out. So it's got some good growth on it. It's definitely gotten bigger since we put it in. But we will see what we get as far as fruit. It's still a little early to be getting fruit from any of these trees, but we'll see what happens. We have the story of two plum trees over here. This first plum tree is growing really, really well. I think this is the fruit tree that has done the best out of all the ones we've put in. It's put out a lot of blooms and a lot of leaves and a lot of new growth. The problem is plum trees need a buddy, and this plum tree's buddy is not doing well at all, and I think might actually be dead. So this one's been in for 2 years. It did fine last year, but I am not seeing any new growth on it, and I'm pretty sure all of those twigs are completely dead. Again, I'm thinking that's just the heat and the lack of water last year. We did try to stay on top of watering all of these, but some things just did better than others. And that is just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. We have our citrus trees in pots over here. Our lemon tree has bloomed a lot, has a little bit of fruit on it. We'll see if it actually makes. We have not gotten any lemons off of this yet, but maybe this year is the year. And the lime tree is also blooming. The lime tree just started blooming recently, so we'll see how it does. And then there's another dwarf peach tree. So this is a bonfire peach. And I saw, yeah, it's just starting to put out leaves. It has red leaves. I haven't seen any blooms on it this year though, but we'll see what happens with that. But hopefully we get at least a few limes and lemons here soon. Our asparagus in our wicking beds is doing pretty good. There's one crown that puts out ridiculously huge stalks of asparagus. That is just silly. But for the most part, they put out good asparagus. We're getting really good growth out of those. All of our mint has come back here. Lots of mint in this bed. And beets. We have finally figured out how to grow beets successfully. We just have to not grow them in the ground. So all of these beets are doing really well. These went in probably about a month ago. And then the next bed is more beets that went in later. I need to do a little bit of weeding in there, but beets are doing pretty good. And then we have a bed of lettuce going. It's gotten started. It's been a little bit slow with the colder weather, but it's doing okay. And last but not least, potatoes. Potatoes are doing pretty good this year. We gave up on trying to do anything fancy and special and went back to just throwing them in the ground. So the right hand side of this bed has lots of weeds that need to be pulled eventually before we plant anything over here. But over here on the left side, we have potatoes coming up. So most of these have sprouted up high enough that we have added more dirt, and then we will just let them go. There's a few where there's no potato that you can see, but they are started in there. They're just really small and short. And I think the issue with those was they got too wet, especially over here on this side. This ground just stays more wet. And potatoes like well draining soil, so it wasn't ideal, but I think things are going to turn out okay over here. So we should get a pretty good potato harvest this year, and then we are going to make mashed potatoes and freeze dry them. So we have homemade instant potatoes. So that is a little short update of how gardening is going around here. I think you can see our bigger dog back here behind me. He's having a good day. He's a very, very large dog, and he had hurt his leg, and so he got some medicine to help with that, and now he's happy and getting into all sorts of trouble today. I hope your gardens are going well. We will check back in as we get more done. Hopefully the weather cooperates a little bit better. It's cold and it's windy, so I'm gonna head back inside now. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye.